In this video, I want to talk about gain to feedback ratios. It's one of the most important audio concepts when it comes to conferences and spoken word. So when someone talks, their voice is coming out of their mouth, and we're picking that up with a microphone, sending it through a speaker so the audience can hear it. Now the problem often is, if those speakers are too loud, what happens is the sound from the speakers goes back into the microphone, comes out the speaker, back into the microphone, that loops around really, really fast, and we get the thing called feedback, which is that squealing noise. Now, the way to get away from that is by creating a greater gain to feedback ratio. Gain is basically how loud the speakers are. Feedback is at the point at which the feedback kicks in. So we want to turn the speakers up more and have less of that sound going into the microphones. There's several ways we can do that. One of the first one is getting the microphone closer to the person's mouth. That means the microphone's picking up more of the acoustic energy from the mouth compared to the speaker. So the ratio of spoken word is like loud up here, and amount of speaker sound is down here, basically. That gap is really, really important. That's the first thing to do. Now we do that with a few things. One might be using a headset microphone, like this one here. This is a DPA, really, really fantastic microphone. Gets right by the mouth. The other way might be to use a lectern microphone, which would be sitting down here, pointing directly at the presenter. And things that aren't good are things like the microphone I'm wearing now, which is a lapel microphone. It's right down here. It's only picking up a little bit of my voice, but it's picking up everything else in the room that you can probably hear. So microphone technique is really important. The next thing is how loud your presenters are. This is often a challenge which is difficult for us and event managers to get around. If someone's whispering on stage, we've got to amplify them a lot. We're increasing the risk of that feedback coming into the system. So louder presenters are good, but try telling a presenter to speak louder. It doesn't really work. You might get 2 sentences about 10 dB louder if you're lucky, then they go quiet again. So that's a challenge we can't really control. One thing we can control though is the speaker arrangement. If we get the speakers laid out in a venue such that everyone in the audience is closer to the speakers, we can get the overall level up without it getting back to the microphones. So sometimes more speakers using things like delay lines or line array systems. The other one as well is speaker direction. A lot of the time I see people, not us, other companies, putting speakers on conference stages, on stands either side of a stage. The problem then is that often they're getting a lot of spill from those speakers coming back on stage. That's the opposite from what you want. So what we'll try and do is get the speakers very much pointing away from the stage into the audience. We'll use methods like lip fills, which are small speakers on the front of the stage pointing away, flown speakers overhead pointing down, and also speakers out in the room that fire across the room. There's lots of techniques we can use depending on the venue, but ultimately it's all about getting the sound from the voice in the microphone as loud as possible compared to the sound from the speakers going into the microphones. And that's gain to feedback ratio. If in doubt, get in contact. We'll obviously design the system and the application around how your event's working to get the maximum gain possible. And we have lots of other techniques I've not talked about in this video as well.